after an incredible NFL wildcard weekend, it's time for the divisional round already, and I think these matchups are just as good. We got, what I think was the best NFL wildcard weekend in its history. All 4 of those games came down to the wire. We had 2 which were blowouts, but all 6 were incredible games, and I think that was super fun to watch. I think this week offers just the same in the divisional round. These are some really hard to pick games again, whether you go across the board from Saturday to Sunday, Bills Broncos to some great rivalries between the 49ers and Seahawks, and Texans Patriots, and wrapping up with the Rams and Bears. I think this is going to be an incredible slate of games. The divisional round, can't wait for it, and it's already going to be starting on Saturday at 3:30 with the Bills and Broncos. I think some of these matchups are so enticing, whether you talk about the Texans' number 1 defense against one of the best offenses in the league in New England, or seeing the Rams in the horrendously cold weather in Chicago against the Bears, or the 49ers offense against the Seattle defense in Lumen Field, and then seeing the Buffalo offense against this Denver defense in Mile High. So we're going to be jumping right into the first game prediction of the week. The Bills against the Broncos. Bills number 6 seed, Broncos number 1 seed in the AFC. Playing at home, of course, at Power Field at Mile High Stadium. Broncos and Bills, you saw a rematch of this one last year. And in this game, I am going with the Buffalo Bills to pull this out 23-21. 3:30 tomorrow on CBS. I think this is going to be a really fun game to watch. Buffalo was the favorite actually coming in, and now I believe Denver is now a 1 to 2 point favorite in this. I think if any quarterback can go in and win against this Denver pass rush in the playoffs, it would be Josh Allen. I know he's crazy injured, already has I think 4 different injuries, whether on his legs, he dealt with a bit of a concussion check, or whatever the case may be, he is gutting it out and putting it together in the playoffs against the Jaguars. What a performance that was. I think he'll be able to use his legs in this one to evade the Broncos pass rush. I think the Broncos are a bit weaker in this after 2 weeks off. They did not play in their last game, and the starters, and I think they could be a little bit vulnerable in this position. Rustiness on the offense, of course. Their offense has not been that particularly great throughout the first half, even throughout the first 3 quarters. They are really inconsistent. They're not highly productive, really, by any stretch throughout, the beginning or first half, and they really turn it on in the 4th quarter. But, they're just not really too trustworthy. I would think that the Bills' number 1 pass defense can limit Bo Nix. I think James Cook is going to be a huge factor in this game with the number 1 rush offense in Buffalo. I think they'll be able to run the ball. I think Josh Allen's going to be effective, and I think they're going to be able to limit Bo Nix for most of the game. I do think the Broncos try and come back, but it's not enough at the end. Now we're going to be going to the 49ers, number 6 seed, against the Seahawks, number 1 seed. Again, 6 versus 1 matchup, and this is a really interesting game. 49ers, of course, without George Kittle. That is really unfortunate for them trying to win this game, and I think that really hurts them. I would have loved to pick the 49ers in this. I think they definitely have potential, but I am going to have to go with the Seahawks in this 27-25. I think, the Seahawks defense is just too much. I know Purdy's 4-0 in Seattle. He's missing a couple guys. Shanahan game plans extremely well. Wouldn't be surprised if they put together a decent performance even without Kittle. Jake Tonjes has done really good as a backup tight end, but I think the injury, is a lot to overcome. And then Purdy going to Seattle in a playoff environment, top 3 defense. They're the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL, Seattle. It's not going to be easy at all. And then their offense is just as good. The 49ers defense, they did play well. They probably may get Fred Warner back this week, which is huge. So if you're going to go on upset alert, 49ers can definitely pull it off. I did think they can pull it off in Philadelphia. I did pick the Eagles just because it's so hard to pick against Philly at home, but they did pull it off. Wouldn't be surprised if they do it again. I have a 2-point victory for Seattle. Can't pick against them in this kind of environment and what they're going up against. Sam Darnold, I think, will be able to overcome some of his playoff demons in the past, and I think he will play well assuming he does play. I think he should be able to play. I know there was some rumors about that, but that is the Saturday night game. Now we're going to be going to the Sunday afternoon game. I think this is one of the most interesting matchups in the entire divisional round. That number one Houston Texans defense, we saw what they did against the Steelers. I know the Steelers are an average defense led by 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, but there was a lot of talk about, oh, Rodgers is going to get rid of the ball fast. The Steelers might win the game. Yeah, that was never going to happen. That was probably one of the dumbest takes ever, picking the Steelers in this game, going against that number one Houston defense. They're going to go in New England this week against MVP candidate Drake May in Foxborough, 2 o'clock on Sunday on ABC and ESPN. Such an enticing game. I'm going with the Texans in the 17-15, an extremely low-scoring game. Might be a snow game, 30 degrees. Patriots faced a top 5 Chargers defense last week. They only put up 16 points. Drake May had 2 fumbles and an interception. They sacked him 5 times. This Texans defense is better in pretty much every category than the Los Angeles Chargers. And I think they force a couple turnovers to get them, and they set up the offense in prime position in this. You don't need a lot of points to win this game. If you can get a couple turnovers, that's obviously the key. In the snow, and the Texans pass rush will be able to sack Drake May in this. He is one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league. No one talks about that. And then Drake May hasn't faced a defense like the Texans. He faced the Chargers, did not look too great besides that 1 touchdown pass. Supposedly the Texans are not good against rushing quarterbacks. They've won pretty much almost every game against a rushing quarterback they've played this year. CJ Stroud, when you look at it, yes, 5 fumbles he lost, recovered, I think only 3 of them or something like that. He had a really bad fumbling game, 1 interception, a couple of drop snaps, 2 of them were his fault on the flea flicker, and then trying to create something off a bad snap. So, I mean, when you look at the Texans, they are second in turnovers given on offense in the league. They're one of the least turnover teams in the league. Offensively, they force a lot of turnovers on defense. That works with them in this game. I think in this game, you cannot predict. When you're predicting a game like this, you cannot say that CJ is going to do that again. Based on the numbers of 14 games and his entire career, he hasn't really done that. That was the first time he's really done that. So you can't predict him to do that again. So CJ Stroud is actually the 24th least sacked quarterback in the league. The offensive line has done a much better job this year. I would expect him to have some sort of time to be able to make some reads. I don't think there will be anything explosive in this game, but I do think the fumbles, I mean, those were all fixable mistakes last week. So look for him to fix that. And just seeing Drake May, heard a lot about Drake May. I know he's MVP candidate. Over 4,000, close to 4,400 passing yards, 31 touchdowns, 8 picks. Heard a lot about his running game. Of course, he's a very mobile quarterback. The Texans know that as well. So they beat in guys like Mahomes or Daniel Jones, Josh Allen, limited Baker Mayfield, beat Justin Herbert. So, I mean, when you look at what the Patriots faced last week in the Chargers defense, the Texans defense is a whole nother animal. So they're even better rushing defense. They're as good in passing, better pass rush, better players, more physical, more disciplined. Texans force more turnovers. CJ Stroud's fumble game was an outlier. When you put that all in perspective, it does give the Texans a shot to win this game. Of course, for their defense, they can win any game. Patriots do not force a whole lot of turnovers. Steelers force a lot more turnovers, and they had a better pass rush. And CJ Stroud still had a decent amount of time. So, we'll see. I mean, it's not like the Patriots defense is bad by any stretch of the regard. They are a formidable unit. CJ Stroud will have to play much better for them to win, and I think he does. Now, whether Houston can run the ball or not, if they can run the ball, they're definitely winning this game. If they don't, it kind of makes it challenging more, but we'll see what happens. I do think if this defense can force, red zone turnovers against Drake May, that'll really help this team. This is the best defense May has faced. The Texans have played many other hot offenses in the league. CJ has faced many other great defenses in the league. Texans are more battle-tested, and I think they're able to pull this out. Now, finally, we're going to the Rams versus Bears. I'm going with the upset pick here. I believe it is an upset. Going with the Chicago Bears at home, 29-28. Last game, Sunday night in Chicago. Really surprised this is the last game. This should have been played on Saturday. Really horrible scheduling by the NFL. Couple reasons why I'm going with the Bears on this. I know the Rams are the best offense in the league. Bears, they're also top 10 offense. They're 6th in the league in offense. So I think the home field is really going to play a massive part in this. It is going to be freezing. It could be one of the coldest game in NFL history. Rams, Matthew Stafford, I don't know how well they handle the cold. I don't think they're historically well at that. I do think that favors the Bears tremendously. The Rams have struggled a bit as of late. The Bears are best in turnover differential. They force a lot. They don't turn it over a lot. And I think they pull it out in this. I think the cold weather really helps them in this playing at home in that environment. So those are my divisional round picks. And now if we go based on these into the AFC and NFC Championship, these are who I have. I have the Texans hosting the AFC Championship against the Bills. And then the Seahawks hosting the NFC Championship against the Bears. Now in this, if you go back to my earlier video in my NFL playoffs bracket, I did have the Texans versus Seahawks in the Super Bowl. I'm going with the Seahawks over the Bears. Inexperience for the for the Chicago Bears. And then Texans have done well. Going to be playing at home. That crowd would be crazy if that does happen. Texans, Seahawks, Super Bowl. Again, the Texans were my Super Bowl pick. This game would be really tough for CJ Stroud, but we'll see if this were to even happen. This is my, pick, assuming my division round picks are right. So I did have a winning record in my picks. I got 2 wrong, but I did get the other 4 right. So we'll see if I can improve my record this week. Thanks for watching. You should hit the like, subscribe, comment your picks for Texans, Patriots.